is it a seamless integration there, or the two different accounts?
You know, I'm usually seamless, but I'll tell you, our technology isn't out-of-the-box installation. We have a 3-week date usually for installing on the site. We do need to do some customizations for the video playback and correlations. It hasn't been an issue. I'm trying to think of scenarios that it's an issue. Flash is our main pain point. Flash we're unable to recreate in full, so we kind of make other ways to label it. If you're not dependent on a lot of Flash, it's usually not much needs to be changed. So.
Yeah. Great.
Let me ask you, James, are you involved with you said you're a digital analyst. Do you do you do a lot of work within the SEO world? Do you guys use anything along the lines of a Compete, Alexa, or Quantcast for competitive intelligence? Or?
Well, actually, so our SEO is handled by Effective Spend, and they utilize Kenshu, and we also use a local resource here for keyword and meta keyword tags and whatnot. So,
yeah,
the answer is yeah.
Are you familiar with that world though? Do you have a decent understanding of SEO, I suppose, from your?
Right. Yeah, and you know, in my past, I've used tools like Experian Hitwise and Compete Pro. Is that what you're getting at?
I'm just wondering what you guys use.
I love tools like that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. This is about 2 minutes showing the other side of our coin, essentially. So, I'm seeing if it's relevant for our discussion and potentially follow up. So our long story short is websites, Google being most of the mainstream search indexes, people assume they have all the information. In reality, they have about 1/5 of the global domains. Approximately 30 million is estimated on Google out of 180 active domains. The reason that happens is site owners have the liability to try to get noticed on their end before getting indexed. So in a lot of cases, particularly for fraudulent activity and brand awareness, site owners who don't want to get indexed are kind of evading the grasp. So our company has the last 6 years, we've been indexing every website on the internet, and now we have approximately 180 million domains within our index. The way we use these is for competitive intelligence on internet-wide trends. We built our software through doing trends and realizing a lot of the technology in other countries was ahead of the mainstream, the Googles, the Omnitures, etc. So we basically have building the information for quite a while, and we create custom algorithms such as if you wanted to know this word is keywords, it's not actually meta. In this case, this was defined as let me know the sites that use the word games at least 4 times within their text because we want to see how relevant that statistic is. We've done a few kinds of those trends for a lot of different keywords. We have them associated by popularity for each website, so this allows for competitive analysis and a lot of deeper keyword digging to understand really what's going on the internet. The deliverable on that end is we're using that for competitive intelligence for companies. So if you wanted to add a competitor on your site, I don't know if you, I'm just going to start writing things and pretend this is your competitor. But so yeah, once you select the site, it'll drop down and look up basically the internet for how many sites have that. Click add. From here, we have the traffic rank, an updated day, the Facebook likes, and the other social information, as well as the page load performance and the correlation to other websites on the internet. So the step 2 here, if you wanted to select 3 relevant competitors and you wanted to click, let me get some traffic. Well, here we have our friend here, compare sites. This gives you a dashboard where it shows it in a chart to compare. And the premise of this, what an actual deliverable looks like, is along these lines where you would usually choose a few key competitors, and we would be monitoring traffic rank every week or every month. We would be monitoring on their site when traffic increases, and we would be recording the changes in source code that correlated with that change. So, if someone's traffic jumped up 40% this month and you saw they have 10 million new Facebook likes, it's not always going to give you the perfect answer, but it's going to give your company awareness that you should probably take a closer look to see how directly correlated that association was. The other asset here is...
by week and month?
What's that,
You
James?
said that was by week and month? Or just
Well, it's default. I mean, our basically that's dependent on... By default, we do it by month. Week, depending on the load, it's a potential higher variable cost. But that it gives an example of the flex. It could be every hour. We have a couple people that I don't think it's relevant, but they're doing it every hour. I don't see any correlation there, but that's how they're doing it. So I'll tell you the bigger use here. This isn't about trying to catch people within a day. It's about you can also do, I showed that search engine before, just showing how deep we can go, because you can define your competitors and industry. In your case, I'm not going to tell you whether people in China doing what you're doing are relevant, which in your case you probably are if you guys are online. But the point is, if you can define the keywords to define your industry on the internet, whether or not that's 10 sites, 1,000 sites, 10,000 sites, we can also run monitors on those domains to understand the technology changes as a whole. So in this case, we have jQuery was used that's a basic programming technology, 3.4% more time over the last month over these 10,000 links. Average page load speed over the competitors, 1.6 seconds. So I don't want to dig too. This turns into a long conversation, but that's the overview of another asset we have integrated, which is referred to on our end as digital competitive intelligence. So I just ran that by usually to kind of feel a company's temperature and see if they have interest in both, or if their analytics and their SEO research is kind of on different platforms. So,
yeah.
Do you have any questions?
I mean, personally, I'd love to see information like that, but as I mentioned, we have a third party running our SEO, so I don't know if I could get the support to say, hey, yeah, let's onboard this, in terms of that competitive intelligence.
Great. Yeah, and the way that would work is you guys wouldn't get it, and I would add something in there without notice, and we'd just make a few hints about the differences and see if we can get them turned over. So that's our biggest objective at this time is, we've been out for less than a year. We're a fairly new company, but our technology from a differentiated standpoint, it's pretty straightforward what we can do. So that's our biggest hurdle is currently for any larger enterprises is getting over the stigma of who they've used the last 10 years. So that's why we're giving a lot of flexibility when it comes down to commitment time, and most cases we're able to show clear value and show less of a footprint from what they're using and get there after the pilot. So
right.
So on that note, let me ask you, James, on your guys' end, what's your adoption process look like? What are the hurdles to adopt technology in your company?
Well, number one, no surprises, budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, number one, proving out why it would be a benefit to us and, what we believe the incremental gains would be. So, and then aside from that, the other side is IT involvement in onboarding and continued support.
Okay, so
internal IT.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off there, James.
Oh, no, I just said internal IT. So what their involvement would be for the onboarding, implementation, and then continued support.
Okay. You guys, are you so decision-wise, if it's budget and IT, those are kind of musts. Is there anyone else that it needs to run through usually, or how does that work internally? Is that kind of a you decision? You're the guy they trust with there if the budgets line up, or?
It'll be me and my director, Chris Fowler. I believe you initially emailed him, and then our CEO, Jim Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, on that note, let me ask you, so at this time, I don't want to keep you over an hour. Our next step is usually either a deeper technical dig or moving forward with a pilot, which is a limited pricing and limited basis to basically get to use the technology in the short term without making a organizational commitment. Do you have an idea if you'd be interested one, the other, neither, to continue chatting, I suppose?
Well, I would be interested, but I do have to run it by my director and see what his take is on it. Maybe a follow-up meeting involving him would be beneficial.
Okay. And I'll tell you our pricing is...
Yeah, that's all I was just going to ask.
First off, I'll tell you, we are willing, our pricing is variable depending on traffic, and we are willing to price match on any individual Omniture product. So if you're using Site Catalyst, that's the one company we're always willing to price match against for replacement. Aside from that, what I'd need is your unique page views every month. That's our variable determinant for price. I'll tell you a ballpark based off what you told me is probably in the $3,000 a month range. And setup-wise on our end, we average 10 to 15 hours, which would be 200 an hour, pretty straightforward on our end for any non-out-of-the-box support. That's our ballpark pricing, but yeah, to finalize that, we just need the unique monthly page views.
You want me to pull that up right now?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that's because basically our hard cost internally is the data record storage, of course, and being able to do everything in real time as well as query it. It's just so the only other option we've done is with companies who have big issues on a cost is they might not want storage. They might want to only store records for a week, something along those lines. But I don't think that makes sense to make that decision early on. So.
Right. See, we'll do this. So I'm just going to look at January right now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't have unique. I only have page views.
Okay. That's not something we need this second, but that gives you the ballpark, for follow-up.
A little less than 8 million.
Yeah. A little less than 8 million. Yes, we're probably looking right around the right around 8 million. Off the top of my head, I want to say in the $6K a month range, but I would need that verified on our end internally. So I don't know. Are you guys? You said you're currently using just the two Omniture technologies. Are you guys using anything else to potentially replace, I suppose, for usability? Are you guys using any tools outside of that, or would that basically be it if we're looking for a perspective?
Well, we have Site Catalyst and Discover, but then also to enhance our email program, we're using Adobe Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically a conduit between Site Catalyst and ExactTarget, so we can get what information we need back and forth. And then in addition to that, we recently started utilizing Monotate for testing. I mentioned them earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the main tools that we're using that are in the same ballpark, I guess you could say.
Okay. Yeah, and the Monotate, like I said, it's not out of the box for us, but we do have the internal capability for any third-party integration. It's not by default. Any program, you even mentioned about how you guys made tags internally. We have the technical team internally to, instead of having to spend 50 hours going back and forth, have a programmer define, get our guys hashing it out for not too long, and understand how we could practically integrate your legacy data there as well. So.
And I will mention we do have somewhere between 20 to 30 data feeds. Mm-hmm. So, things going to Google, product listing ads, things going to Bing, things going to, even Omniture, and, just other, and Amazon, things of that nature.
Okay. So at this point, James, is there interest to get a follow-up on the books on our end? You said it sounded like the next step would potentially be chatting with someone else on your end internally.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Could include Chris Fowler and see what he thinks of it.
Okay, Chris Fowler. He's attached within the email. Okay. Is there any other information you want beforehand, or can I send out an
No, I don't
invite?
think. Yeah, go ahead and do that. No, I just took some notes here, and I'll look them over a bit more. There's a lot of good information, so I just need to think around it for a bit here.
Okay. Yeah, and the last thing I'll mention, I always have to say this, we also have if we do get to even on a pilot, a quoting form, we have a $30,000 one-time licensing fee as well. But I'm the CEO. I waive it for the calls I take because I'm interested in a potential case study for industries we haven't dealt with. So if you see that on the next form, it's going to be $1 listed, but I'm just going to let you know because we've had a couple pushbacks saying what's this on the chart. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up if we get to that point, if I forget to say later on. So.
All right, sounds good.
All right, James, pleasure talking to you, and I'm going to have a assistant send you out a couple date options for follow-up, and if you have any questions before that, please email me personally.
All right, great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, James. Nice talking to you.
You too.
Bye.